What are you telling me, Dr. Michelle Peticolas?
You are a spiritual being having a human adventure. This is what my yoga teacher told us all the time. I loved this. The great human adventure. Sounded like a theme park, didn't it? Helped me not take life quite so seriously and have more fun. But my yoga teacher didn't quite explain to us that sometimes there's a conflict between this spirit and the vehicle that we ride through this great adventure, i.e., the human body. The spirit has its life purpose, why we're here, what it needs to accomplish. The body has its own agenda. 300 billion cells, all designed to keep you alive. Wait a minute, is there a conflict here? Actually, in one word, others. The human body is a social creature. It does survive best in community. In fact, would you even have been able to survive your infancy if there wasn't somebody to change your diaper or feed you breast milk? And so, therefore, others have a huge impact on whether you feel safe or unsafe. In addition to this body protecting you from dangerous microbes and lions and tigers and bears, oh my! It's protecting you from parents and partners and politicians, oh my. Thus, if you want to have a great human adventure, you need to partner with this body, to get along with it, to understand its needs and desires, and get it to work with you instead of working against you. To do that, you need to understand what the body is saying to you. Do you know the body is speaking to you all the time? That's right. Go ahead, listen to your body right now. What's your body telling you? Close your eyes, listen in. And when you figure it out, put it in the chat. Is it telling you, oh no, not another Zoom call again? I want to go outside. It's a nice day. Or is it telling you, isn't it time for you to get a new chair? This one is so uncomfortable. Or maybe it's saying, you forgot to pee before the meeting, didn't you? If you don't know what your body's saying, you're not alone. Most of us shut off from the messages of our body very early in our lives. Probably that first day we went to school and they put us in those confining little desks and said, don't move and don't talk. When this little body, all it wants to do is jiggle and giggle and play. So we got really good at shutting down the messages of our body. I actually shut down the messages of my body even earlier. Did you? 2 years old. My father, who was the sun and moon to me, got transferred to Japan. I felt devastated, abandoned, betrayed, worthless, unloved, unimportant. Pretty big emotions for a 2-year-old. And my mother, she was busy packing up a household and 3 children to move to Japan. So she wasn't any help. What did I do? Cut off my emotions and my feelings. Well, that's one story. The other story? I mimicked my dad. My dad was totally shut off from his feelings. Probably happened when he was 8 years old, and his mom and his oldest brother took a trip to Texas to visit family and never returned. His mother died from cancer, and his brother, he ran off to California. So my father was stiff as a board, totally shut down. He had one of those lazy boy chairs. I guess they call them Barco loungers. You know, the kind that you get to lean back and your feet come up. And he would sit in it like this. And my mother would come into the living room and she'd say, "Honey, are you comfortable?" And he'd say, "I'm fine." Well, I mimicked him, just like him, stiff as a stick, totally protected and shielded. You could insult me and I wouldn't even register for 3 days. But that started to change when a big event happened in my 40s. I was already 40. My father and mother died 6 months apart. My father from Alzheimer's and my mother from breast cancer. And the emotions of grief hit me like a tsunami. But I resisted. I held everything together until my back went out. I had to let my emotions go. The best part of that time was that I actually found out that I had a mission. My mother conveyed to me, live your passion or die with regret. Because she had regrets. And my mother was the poster child for living your passion. A toy designer who sold her designs to major toy companies in New York, often to the neglect of her children. If she could have regrets, where did that leave me? A person who spent all my time pleasing other people, figuring out what they wanted. I didn't even know what my favorite color was. But after my mother died, I took it to heart. I decided to make a documentary film on death and life. Secrets of life and death. And in the process of getting a crew together and interviewing people and joining hospice so I understood the lay of the land, I discovered that actually my spirit had been on the job the whole time to help me to live my life purpose. That's why I studied sociology and psychology in graduate school and earned my PhD. That's why I worked in group homes helping teenagers to heal from abandonment and abuse. That's why I joined a spiritual community, so I could understand what my spiritual goal was. And that's why I studied psychosomatics, so I understood the language of the body and could respond. Now, I wish I had enough time to share everything I know about the body's language and the spirit, but I only have 22 minutes to speak, and I think I'm probably halfway through. So I'm going to share some important points about how the body communicates and what you need to be listening to and paying attention to. And if you want more information, I will give you a way to connect with me later, just before the end of the speech. Sound good? So I told you, the body's communicating with you all the time. It speaks in 3 modalities: sensation, emotion, and mentation. Is mentation a word? I think it is. It means what you're thinking of mentally. So let's take sensation first. At first look, simple. Pleasure? Pain. Pleasure good? Pain bad. You know, actually it's more complicated than that. I'm sure you've all experienced a time when you've taken pleasure too far. Oh, I ate too much. Oh, I drank too much. Ah, who did I sleep with last night? You get the picture. And pain? You couldn't live if you didn't get pain. Pain is your body's way of telling you, oops, you're going in the wrong direction. Hot, sharp, oh, heavy. And you make adjustments, right? You know when you get a hurt tooth, how fast you go to the dentist? Yeah, pain gets you moving quick. Problem is that sometimes emotions intertwine with sensation. Like the time my body went out, my back went out when my parents were dying. You see, I was so busy holding my emotions in. And emotions, they need to move. Motion, energy in motion. It's like a balloon being filled up with too much air. And if you don't let those emotions out, it pops. My back popped. So sometimes when you're having pain or discomfort in your body, it might have something to do with your emotions. Emotions are way more complicated than sensation. More vocabulary words. Happiness, sadness, joy, anger, fear, disgust, frustration. You get the picture. And you might think, like sensations, the good emotions are good and the bad emotions are bad. But even here, sometimes good emotions can get out of control. Like when your ego takes over and you get overconfident, you might be in for a fall. And when it comes to bad emotions, like grief, it's a doorway, it's a breakthrough. Sometimes the best things happen when you feel the worst. So emotions are complicated. And on top of that, sometimes we overreact. Emotions were supposed to be an upgrade in terms of the evolution of the species, particularly useful for social animals who needed to distinguish between danger and friend. But with human beings, it gets a little complicated. Sometimes we overreact. Like the time my husband and I recently went to Costco. I had to make a return, and my husband, George, went off to do some shopping. I made my return and started to look for him. My husband has this special talent of vanishing. It's like he's got an invisibility cloak in his skin. So I'm looking for him everywhere and I can't find him. And finally, I find him. And he says, oh, I found these great beach towels. Come take a look. And I say, I need to first check out the computer printers. I'll be right there. I come back, the towels, he's nowhere around. Vanished. I look in the produce section. I look in the meat section. I look in the eggs, the cheese, the dry goods. And back to the towels again. I can't find him. I'm starting to get really upset. And finally, I go to the checkout. And there he is on the other side. And so, you would not have wanted to be in the car with me on the way home. Way over the top. My husband was still there. He even helped me put away the groceries. So sometimes when you're triggered, take note. Is it a little over the top? Maybe this body is over-responding to an early emotional trauma. Finally, mental. Boy, can that really hold your spirit back from fulfilling its purpose. Information, ideas, concepts, beliefs that we get almost mainlined when we're children. I don't know, that sounds pretty risky to me. Why don't you get a regular job? Do you really think you're good enough? Don't you need more training? Is that really safe? Yeah, can hold you back, can't it? You can't do that. Who do you think you are? So, what do? Your thoughts are holding you back. They're triggering your emotions, which are affecting how you feel in your body. It might even affect your posture. In fact, not only is the body speaking to you all the time, it's speaking to everybody else. The expression on your face, the arch of your eyebrows, telling everybody what's going on inside of you, probably even more than you know what's going on with yourself. Since I started speaking on Zoom, I've noticed that when my eyebrows are down, I look too serious, maybe even scary. And so I've started to learn to lift my eyebrows and smile more often. And then it dawned on me. My mother used to do that. We used to joke about her, how she raised her eyebrows to make herself more friendly and more open. And here I am doing the same thing. So as you can see, the body's complicated. But your body is your body. It's going to be here for the rest of your life, right up to the very end. And if you want to have that great human adventure, you need to partner, to work with it. But how do you do that if you don't even know what it's telling you? How do you even know that it's sabotaging you? I'll give you some ideas. When you're trying to work on your purpose, something always seems to get in the way. You have an argument with your husband just before you go on stage. Or your daughter suddenly has an emotional crisis just when you're starting to write an important document for your project. Or your parents call and they need your help, not for just one day, but for months. And suddenly your project gets put on the back burner and then finally completely off the stove. Or you play the waiting game. You're waiting for more time, more experience, more education, more money. The voice of God. If you're playing the waiting game, it might be time for you to take a weight loss action. So as I promised, I would like to make you an offer. A complimentary 15-minute discovery session with me, in which we identify together what your body is telling you and how it might be interfering with your spirit's mission. All you need to do is go to meetwithdrmichelle.com, MEET with WITH, Dr. DR, Michelle with 2 L's.com. And then put in the coupon code COMP, as in complimentary, all in capital COMP, the number sign, #1. I'll put it in the chat for you, so be sure to save the chat. To summarize, your body is your buddy. You want to partner with it instead of fighting it. And if you were to die tomorrow, would you have any regrets? Would you have no regrets? This is the message that my mother left me with. And if your answer is, yes, I'll have regrets, it's time for you to start listening to your body.